This episode wasn't quite as good as some of the previous ones, but still was a decent level of quality. What I found funniest was that most of the episode seems to pretend that everyone can just kind of go along with things as if they're totally normal and cool. Like, all you have to do to not have corruption in your government is to say, I challenge you to not be corrupt, and that's it, right? And then we find out this was basically all a plan by Satine in order to flesh out the corruption she already knew was there, because of course it's Minister What's-His-Face. I mean, that was so obvious even in the last episode. In fact, if anything, I was weirded out that they didn't mention that in the last episode. Also, quick aside, I mentioned the architecture. You'll notice even the plants and the foliage are done in this, like, cubist style. It's really cool. Anyways, so here we see some interesting things. First of all, I love the whole, you will do this for me. Nah, they're just pretending. I kind of like that because, I don't think Ahsoka's that good at the mind-altering thing, or that good of a Jedi in general. I do like how she's good at combat. She should be. She's Anakin's pupil, and if there's one thing Anakin is going to grill into someone, it's how to fight. And given how much frontline experience she's had, that also makes sense. It was a nice way to showcase tears. In many ways, this was a Lower Decks episode, showcasing us what the kids were doing down below and as they were trying to deal with and manipulate the situation, and then get in completely over their heads and can barely do anything about it. And then one Jedi Padawan shows up and absolutely curb stomps all the guards there. Just stuff like that. It was good stuff. I also find the Minister amusing because he was this close to being an interesting character. It's Season 2 all over again. Because he has a point. The war has broken down trade. Their legitimate sources of materials and information and whatnot are at an all-time low. Or not an all-time low, but at low for years, low for decades. And so turning to the black market to secret in funds makes sense. The problem is, he's not actually doing that. That's not his goal. That's what he's using to justify what he's actually doing, which is a basic naked power grab. I shall be the one on charge. I shall rule on high as Sultan. That's what he's going for instead of anything that makes a damn bit of sense. And I think it detracts from his character, because I think that would have been a very interesting take. Satine and her excessive idealism versus him and his cold-hearted pragmatism. Make him less evil, and as such more interested in actually benefiting Mandalore by bringing in undermarket people and blah, blah, blah. Now, of course, that wouldn't work. We'd have to restructure the whole story to make that work, because there is a resource shortage, because he hasn't been distributing it properly, because he's trying to blame it on her, and then once it's blamed on her, he'll take power, and blah, blah, blah. This could have worked. It doesn't, but it could have worked. And it's funny because one of the biggest things, towards the beginning, Ahsoka has a discussion about corruption in government, which made me want to laugh because of how incredibly kindergarten simplistic it was. No offense. But I suppose she was teaching to kids, so that makes a degree of sense. But what I find funniest is that she basically placed most of the blame on a singular source, greed, and on that one point I do tend to agree. It is my opinion, sorry for getting slightly political here for a second, that most issues like this, corruption, bribery, sloth, issues with incorrect procedures or inferior products like the poisoning of the kids, all that stuff, can really be boiled down to two problems: greed and stupidity. I'm dead serious. And that's basically exactly what was actually happening in this episode. Minister Bobface, the McEvil son, decided to be too greedy. He could have just stayed minister. He was in a position of tremendous power and wealth, and he could have just skimmed off the top and had the public support and basically secured his position for life for being the one to help fix this whole resource shortage problem, especially when the Duchess was failing to do so. Instead, he decided to be greedy and go for everything, and then he lost everything, because historically speaking, that is always what happens at some point or another. Sometimes it takes a while to get there. Sometimes people are profitable for a really long time. But anyways, I'm getting too much into real life stuff. My point being that I've noticed that I just have more to say about Season 3 episodes in general. I kind of hope this continues to be a trend, and I hope you continue to enjoy watching with me, and I'll see you next time.